Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Depressed Dior, and this is Langrisser Mobile Apex Season 15. I did have a loss prior to this. These matches were done on the Friday, because this week they had the whole have matches on Friday event thing going. There's also they also gave me a ticket, which apparently could be used to make it so your next loss doesn't make you lose any points. I need to remember to actually use that thing, so that'll make things hopefully easier for me to get to gold 3 in the future. But in any case, the loss I had, it was kind of a standard rush box, and I let my opponent have 2 act agains, and they were player 1, so it just kind of didn't work. Also, their Leon was actually very bulky, and I couldn't actually kill him with my archers, which was a bit of a shame. Besides that, also my opponent was smart and actually banned my Christiane first, which actually limits a lot of my buffing potential, since I do tend to rely on a bit more Princess faction. But yeah, in any case, my opponent here is... Well, I don't know if it's all Princess. I don't remember what faction some of these characters are. But yeah, I think this is an all Princess box, which is kind of cool. Not too often we see this. Of course, they have a bit of a mix. They do have Freya here who can provide Origins. Of course, you got Grinshield who can provide Empire as well as Rose and Seal. Besides that, the only other faction buffers, of course, is Christiane and... I don't remember your name. Why can't I remember? Oh, Chafaniel. We also got Claret, which we haven't seen in a while, and then Sonia, I believe is her name. Of course, we got Girl in the Shell. Yeah, just kind of a nice little mix of everything. It's definitely leaning much heavier towards magic, which I'm completely fine with. I banned their Agnes first because she would, of course, give a bunch of self-reses, and I don't want to deal with it. Also, she's extremely long range with AoEs, so all the more reason to just get rid of her. Bans my Sissy White first, which I wasn't really sure what that was about. Opens with a Grinshield. Their box, by the way, is 3 tanks. 3 tanks and technically 3 healers, though they do have some characters that can do passive healing pretty reliably. Or possible healing, such as Girl in the Shell there. So yeah, 3 tanks, and that's it. Anyway, Grinshield. Technically, Grinshield can also tank, but you usually don't use her for that. Go ahead and get rid of the Karika. Don't want to deal with the long-range sniping. Got rid of their... I don't remember which KA name this is, so I'm just going to say Kagura and be wrong. But I didn't want to deal with her stun. Also, she's just pretty... She does hit like a truck. So I grab my Christiane, which kind of takes care of most of their magic damage. They go ahead and get rid of my Tiaras, get rid of my Grinshield. At this point, I'm down to 2 healers. They take Sophia pretty early here. I think they had to, because they're 3-3, which means if I I could have banned a tank and a healer technically if I really wanted to. To be honest, I'm completely fine with them having healers and tanks here, because the rest of it's not that dangerous. So I get rid of the Chafaniel, which gets rid of the faction buffer. Get rid of their Lucretia, because she can self-res. Also, she could potentially do a lot of debuffs if I don't happen to have Rose and Seal with me, and they are non-dispellable. So at this point, I went ahead and grabbed Rose and Seal, because I'm kind of surprised my opponent let me have her. At this point, my opponent did get rid of Narm. If my opponent had not gotten rid of Narm right then, I probably would have considered grabbing her just to get rid of Grinshield, because she can as I've showed last week, she is very effective against flyers and can bypass guard against flyers. Got rid of my Pyrotest. I'm not sure what the point of that was. They go ahead and grab Mariandel. So decent amount of AoE potential, lots of healing. Went ahead and get rid of Claret, got rid of their Christiane. Christiane was mainly just because of the faction buff. Freya can, for the most part, buff majority of this. Mariandel is not Origins, as far as I know. But I believe Grinshield and Sophia are both Origins faction. Of course, Freya herself is as well. Went ahead and got Silvaria at this point. I was kind of torn. I kind of wanted to grab Illustrial. But at this point, I am running out of people that can actually buff attack that are besides Princess faction. So I went ahead and grabbed Silvaria because I can grab her global buff if I need to. And it looks like I'm probably going to end up needing to. They get rid of my Kyura, get rid of my Liana. They grab Freya at this point. So at this point, I was like, I'm not going to let you have any more healers. I don't want you to become immune to healing, don't want to act against. I'm completely okay with my opponent either grabbing Girl in the Shell, who can't be buffed as far as I know. She can definitely be kind of a wild card because, of course, her random spells and all that junk and random buffs. And honestly, I don't really have any... I've never fought a Sonya. So, actually, I don't think her name is Sonya. It might be, but spelled differently. I don't know. We'll know in a second. But I wasn't too concerned about them having a second tank, because my goal is just to kill their Grinshield and then their Mariandel. And at that point, I don't really have much to worry about. So I grab a Lustriel. This map is pretty decent for a Lustriel. It does have a little bit of terrain that she can bypass. It is a little rough because the grasslands are all along the edges and there's none in the center. Besides that, they banned my Sherry and banned my Tatalia, and left me with Autumn Kelmo and a Lightbringer. Lightbringer could definitely take care of Grinshield. I could just easily inch my way forward with her without any issues. They go ahead and grab their Sonya, and I'm going to grab a Lustriel, or not Lustriel, Autumn Kelmo, mainly because my opponent doesn't really have a lot of answers for debuffs. So I can just throw the portals in the center and kind of just take my time. Alright, so, yeah, Sonya. So, Sonya here, for those who don't know, she takes reduced damage if there's another ally within 2 blocks. She also does otherwise she does increased damage. So you can use her as a sort of bruiser type. When entering battle, the enemy will not attack first. If she takes fatal damage, instead of dying, she recovers 50% of her HP. So she has a built-in self-res. She does her guard buff, which she just activated, takes all attacks for adjacent units and immune to displacement effects, and then she can expand that range. It converts to 20% of her attack into defense, which, as you can see, her defense is now pretty insane, even without a faction buff. And then any units within 2 blocks fight enemies outside of command range, they take reduced damage. So she can kind of give a bit of a damage reduction aura. She's got Air Slash, nothing too special there. She does have this Holy Royal Resolve, which will dispel 2 debuffs and self-heal for a bunch. She also get Reinforcement, which I believe is a passive regen effect. Gallant Duelist is sword infantry. It is all about attack and crit rate. And when attacking, or when attacked, they can possibly reduce physical damage. So not too bad. Now, one thing to note is look at her M defense and look at the Gallant Duelist M defense. Magic will wreck Sonya. Even Autumn Kelmo, who I don't really have an easy way of buffing, can definitely shred her pretty easily. We've got Grinshield here with War Falcons and actually brought the AoE. The AoE is kind of dangerous because it does do mobility down, so I will have to get rid of it if it does get applied, but I have Rosen Seal, so it's not a big deal. Mariandel with Phalanxes, of all things. I'm completely safe against Mariandel. Since she's mixed troops, I don't have to worry about any sort of damage negation, really, because Sylvaria will bypass everything. Besides that, though, she does have Windblade, or Aqua Purification, or 3C. So she does have a lot of stuff to mess around with as far as AoEs, and she can build up stacks pretty quickly. So it's definitely going to sting a bit. Freya, pretty standard kit for Freya. She did bring Holy Guard Mages. I don't know if that's our best option for guard, or for defensive, but I'm not sure. Freya does have good M defense, and then she's of course got Crystal Spike, 3C, and her Rose Slash. So she has multiple ways of getting guard up. Rose Slash is usually just to do some extra damage. And of course she can do a lot of fixed damage just as part of her kit. We got Sophia here, who has Heal, 3C, and Rewind, and Shrine Maidens. So yeah, I think the idea here is to try to get some AoEs in with Flash Icicle and Mariandel's AoEs, but again, I have Rosen Seal with Mass Crystal Healing, so it's not a big deal. Anyway, speaking of our group, Fairy Spirit Prophets, Auden Kelmo, Windblade, 3C, and Oracle from Beyond. I am kind of focusing on just single target because I am technically dealing with 2 AoE healers. Lustrial, Elven Cavalry Archers, Jade Storm, Emerald Crusher, roundabout, pretty standard. Christian, I brought Phalanxes, not really remembering that Sonya was... Well, I did remember Sonya was infantry, I just didn't really think about it. So she can actually shred my Phalanxes pretty good. But anyway, Phalanxes, standard kit with the Flower Formation, 3C, and Floral Realm. Silvaria Duck Gunners, I swapped out her Disarm for Order of the Guardian, which allows me to buff a set of stats for the entire party. So that's my way of buffing both Auden Calvin and Illustrial. So if I end up having a situation where I can't snipe effectively, that gives me an excuse to just use this buff to get everyone caught up. Rosenseal, I did bring Imperial Radiance, which will buff her, Christian, and Silvaria. Alright, with all that said and done, let's dive in. So right now the mobility here for Illustrial, she can go all the way to here. This is not grassland, so I wouldn't be able to bypass guard anyway. So for right now, I'm kind of just pushing forward, making sure I have the cross formation so I don't get caught up by Grinshield's shield throw. Grinshield is kind of far away, but if she does spend the first round moving as far forward as possible, she could get initiative on me the next round. So I'm kind of just playing it safe, throwing out some portals. So yeah, just something to point out here about the Freya. Her faction buff did hit Grinshield and Sonya, or not, sorry, hit Grinshield and Sophia and herself. So Mariandel is not Origin's faction, neither is Sonya. Alright, Radiant Glow is up. Of course, anyone that's using Sophia has her exclusive for extra buffs, so that's the way they're going to get buffs for now. Unfortunately, not the best order of operation, I don't think, because honestly, Sonya could have definitely used those buffs. But the other issue, of course, is my opponent can't really move forward too much. I'm not sure if I can kill Sophia with Shrine Maidens if she has fixed damage negation. If she does, I may not be able to kill her even with Silvaria. I do want to test it out, but I think right now she's just within range if I move forward all the way. And my opponent is definitely being very careful. Because, yeah, right now my snipe range, 10 spaces puts me right here with Sophia. So this little diagonal here is the range. Obviously, if I set up here, my opponent may assume that I have the ranged bow and adjust from there. Also, Illustrial's movement goes all the way to here now. Still not great, I still can't get past the tanks. My opponent did fall back. Probably assumed that I am actually within range. Alright, so I do shift forward a bit. So I did run into a little bit of issue. I did want to shift forward to here, but I could not get Rosenseal down here. So if I did try to shift down here, that would expose me to Grinshield. I mean, there's a few things I could have done, but if Grinshield tries to like push really far forward, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be able to get killed with Silvaria because of the reduced damage when you shoot something close range. So I'm kind of just I'm trying to make sure I'm moving forward, but at the same time, of course, I have to be careful about Grinshield. I mean, I'm kind of okay with trading, but I don't exactly. I would like to not throw away my units since I only have 2 DPS. So I get hit with Rose Slash. I did throw up a Crystal Heal on Illustrial and just pass turn in place. And at this point, I do go ahead and shift forward, because if my opponent does decide to move forward, I can just catch them. So I do order. Oh, actually, sorry, I moved forward because their Grinshield didn't move. So I was able to actually move safely forward. And since I wasn't in range of shooting anyone besides the tanks, I went ahead and opted to put attack order up, so now all my DPS now have at least an attack buff. I did go ahead and shift down here. One, to go ahead and get the cross formation going, but also the forest terrain will give me some damage or defense bypassing capabilities with the deck gunners. And also just putting that additional pressure of just having the Valkyrie Flash active. It really kind of messes with my opponent here because they could push forward. I don't have an act again or anything, but if they push forward, I can potentially shoot something. Alright, so at this point I go ahead and just keep doing single heals. Because I know if I throw out my AoE heal, they may try to capitalize and try to out DPS my passive heals. Alright, Air Slash, all infantry. Did great against the Phalanxes, but beyond that, not so much. So I go ahead and just pass turn, let the passive heals from Risen Seal heal me back up. My opponent can't reach. Mariondale can reach with an AoE at this point, because of her crazy AoE range. But beyond that, nothing too fancy really. Also, we got the portals here constantly debuffing them, and they have no healers within range to purge it. Yeah, so at that point, yeah, I'm kind of safe at the moment. Since I do have attack buff active, and I definitely noted my opponent had really low defense on Sonya, I'm actually kind of prepared to go ahead and just start shooting. Both of them do have all guard, so that's why I targeted Freya and just blasted her away. Alright. So a few things to note about Illustrial. My Illustrial has Rough Sea as the enchant, not Breeze. So there's 0 chance of her Breeze proccing, because I don't have Breeze on her. I think Risen Seal has her exclusive is a hat, so she doesn't actually have Tenyo. Audun Kelmo is the only person here that has Tenyo, and it's been kind of gradually buffing people. Like, I think the first buff she threw onto Illustrial was an attack buff, but this round I did proc Breeze, and that puts me within range of Grinchill. Grinchill is in Forest, but she doesn't really have much going on here. She doesn't have her passive bubble up. I can't dispel her defensive buff, but at the same time I can also turn all 3 of these remaining buffs into debuffs using her 3C. So yeah, needless to say, I pretty much won at this point. It's a little dirty, the fact that I won with a Tenyo proc, but even without the Tenyo proc, if I had not gotten the Tenyo proc, my next action would have been to move down here with Illustrial, so I could bypass guard from Freya and just shoot Sonya from range. I would convert all of her buffs into debuffs, and then just kind of shred her that way. I'm not sure if I would have been able to get kill per se, because she did heal a bunch. I did get hit with, was it 3C? No, I got hit with Aqua Purification, which did dispel debuffs, and let's see, yeah, dispel debuffs on allies. It would dispel buffs if I was in water, but it doesn't. I was not in water. So at this point, I just rushed in. I need to do about 28,000, and I do 91,000, so a little overkill. I had 1 space of movement left, so I actually move into the forest there. No troops to attack with because they're phalanxes, so no way to actually get through all my archers. One thing to also note is in forest terrain I do get magic damage reduction by 30% of all things. Also, their Mariondale doesn't have any attack buff, so it kind of wore off already because of Sophia's exclusive buff only lasts for 2 rounds. So at this point my opponent gives up. So yeah, a little long-winded, I apologize, but yeah, pretty straightforward. Literally, I was going to be able. I was considering just attacking Mariondale back because she was not being guarded at the time. Yeah, she was not being guarded at the time, or I think she's actually sorry. She's in guard range, but if I attack in place, I would be attacking from forest terrain. I think I would have gotten kill because I would have just shot through the phalanxes and then shot her. It might have been a little ugly though. I don't know. But even then, I would have just focused. Sophia's all the way in the back at the mist. I would have just kept blasting their Sonya and their Freya until they couldn't do anything else. I still had my Autumn Kelmo, I still had my Silvaria, so yeah. And even if I had failed to get kill on Mariandel at that point, I could have just sniped to finish her off with Silvaria, since I had her in snipe stance. So yeah, pretty neat stuff. I did get 30 points for that, so I am within, possibly, I think I'm within range to get gold 3 next week. I'll probably just wait till next week to do it because I've been pretty busy. And I'll try to remember to use this ticket to try to keep myself within range as much as possible. Anyway, that is it for right now. I am Data Press Dealer. This is Langrisser Mobile Apex Season 15. I'll see you guys later.